It's Sadeq here. I hope you're all doing amazing today, and I hope you have had a great week so far. So what I want to do is I want to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned, some of the most important lessons that I've learned so far in my own life that has helped me along with developing a purpose, a meaningful life. So number one, the biggest one of the lessons that I've learned is that you've got to, as I mentioned in previous videos, that you have to have your ultimate purpose first. So knowing what your purpose is, what your life is about. And I've mentioned this on so many times before already, but I want to mention this again because this is one of the points, is that don't put your career first, don't put your health first, don't put your diet first, don't put your relationship first. These are all goals. These are all goals. What you want to get to is the purpose, the pinnacle of what your life is about. So for me, my ultimate purpose, as I've explained before in the previous video, if you've not already watched it, please watch it. And that's my faith. My faith is my most important thing. God is the most important one to me right now. And that is, if you almost imagine kind of like a pyramid, if you like, that at the top of the pyramid, I could say that's God. And that's very important for me, because that then transcends throughout the rest of all the key areas of my life, which be it, health and relationship, etc., etc. So making sure you're clear of what your purpose is, and if you're not, then keep searching and be open-minded. And that's the most important thing. So that's one of the big key lessons that I've learned, is always having your purpose first, and don't put your career first, because often our desires can get in the way of us achieving the things like a career or relationship, and we put those as number one priority, forgetting that there's a higher purpose above all of this. So that's really important. So that's the first biggest lesson that I've learned, because I'm telling you now in regards to this point here, that if you go after these things, these goals, and you put that on the highest priority, you will find sooner or later in your life that your life will become meaningless. Or if you haven't already realised it, then what will happen is you put all your soul attention onto this, and you'll be, latching onto that thing, thinking it will make you happy, and then realising at one point or another that that isn't the true way to really attain happiness, and I think that's really, really important. So that's number one. Number two is reading. Making sure you're always reading. This is so important, especially if you want to try and have purpose with your life. And so for me at the moment in my life, and what I'm passionate about, is spirituality, because I think that's the main foundations, if you like, of our existence, of our life. So for me, spirituality is a massive thing, and so I'm reading lots and lots of books right now, and I'm sparing about 15 minutes to half an hour every single day just reading, trying to gain as much knowledge as I can, because that ultimately will lead you to have more confidence, to then have more certainty and more purpose. I know I've mentioned purpose so many times already, but I think it's just, it's important that you have that, and you keep learning and keep learning and making sure you're disciplined. And again, discipline is another video in itself, but having that habit and setting yourself down that, right, I'm going to spare 15 to 30 minutes, or however much time you can spare, to get some reading done. And remember, these things take practice, and you need to turn it into a habit. Very quickly on this point, in order to turn something into a habit, you need to keep continuously doing it. Now, research says it takes about 66-ish days to develop a habit. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Of course, that depends on the habit itself, but 66 days is a rough kind of idea to be able to make something into a habit. So if it's reading that you want to make into a habit, follow it through. Now, if you can allow for yourself to have 1 day's gap. So let's say you start reading and you're doing day one, of your habit of reading, day 2, day 3, and then day 4, oh whoops, I've not been able to read. That's fine. Don't panic over that. You can allow yourself that day's habit, but then keep doing that, because if you have more than one day break from whatever habit you're trying to achieve, so in this specific instance of reading, then what can happen is that habit pattern breaks. So what I find personally is that if you've fallen off doing the thing that you want to do, then get back on and don't beat yourself up. Get on with the reading and try and develop this as a solid habit. And you can read books through Kindle, which is what I do personally because I'm always on the go. Audible's another big one that I'm always using because I'm doing a lot of commuting, so as that, and then physical books as well. So reading, learning is so important. So that's the second thing that I've learned. And then the third thing that I've learned, and I've mentioned it, I like to be able to recap certain things that I have mentioned before, because then that way it reinforces the point, and then you can then take that away and reflect on that and take action on that thing. And that is the third thing is decisions. And when you're making decisions, you've got many different problems and things that you need to overcome. And it's really important, as I mentioned in my last video, to have people around you that can support you, because it can almost feel like you're by yourself in all this, and you feel like there's no one there to help you. And that's the worst thing, because it leads to a downward spiral. Reason being is you're so busy thinking about that specific thing that it causes you to become negative, distressed and anxious and worried, and it does nothing but cause you your own harm in terms of your own well-being. So it's really important to have those people around you. So very important point there. So those are the main points that I wanted to mention with you that I've learned so far in my journey. I suppose the fourth thing you could say that I've learned is to overcome fear. Now, fear is such a massive thing because we all have certain things that we may want to achieve, but there's this thing or this excuse or this belief holding us back. And it's really important that we read into, trying to understand what that thing is. Trying to understand what that fear that you have, that belief, that limiting belief that you have right now, and trying to break through it. Really trying to break through and trying to understand, what is this thing that I'm really afraid of? And what I find really helps, and this again, you have to become self-aware. And one of the main ways of which I've talked about becoming self-aware, if you've not already got that message before, which I've mentioned tons of times in many other videos, is journaling, writing down, your beliefs, your emotions and all those sorts of things. And then writing it down. And what I find personally with writing your fears, and which is where you could write your fears, writing down your fears, that when you write it down, it doesn't actually look as bad as you think it is on paper. And so you kind of overcome that. And of course, using and having the support of people, which I've mentioned before, is really important. So those are the 4 points that I've learned so far. I don't want to make this video too long. I know the last video was pretty long, but I had a lot of content in that. So I hope this video has benefited you in some way. Please like the video, please share the video, and I'm going to try on a weekly basis to release a YouTube video which I hope will benefit you. So please, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please just subscribe, because one of the main purposes of me doing these videos is to really truly help you. Before I leave this earth, I want to do whatever I can to be of service to you. And that's so important to me. It's really important to me. So please like this video. I'm going to have more content. And remember, I'm shooting, a minute video pretty much 4 to 5 times a week. And that's, you can capture those videos on Instagram. You can capture those videos on Facebook as well. So regularly trying to provide value to you. So until then, I hope you have an amazing week, and we'll speak again soon. Lord willing, take care.